Alright, so in this video I'll be doing a quick run through of Tam-Tara Deepcroft. Before I get started, I actually want to talk about something I've been working on for the arcanist. So in my last video I was talking about how it wasn't really worth my time to dot, from mob to mob, and I've actually discovered a few things. The first is that dots are super important to the way arcanists play, but also they get more important later on. So I just got Energy Drain and Fester at level 18, which I had gotten throughout the course of the last dungeon. Energy Drain essentially gives you 2 stacks of Aether Flow, which are displayed here. Aether Flow allows you to cast Fester. Now Fester does very mediocre damage if you don't have dots on it. It's instant cast, it has a 5-second cooldown, but it does a lot more damage if you have dots on it, like triple. So you need dots on it, on the target, in order to cast this ability. And the best way that I've identified to do this, right, is to essentially make sure that you're always dotting, and then you can have one DPS macro for your main DPS. So what I'm doing, right, is I'm on a priority. I'm casting Energy Drain, I'm casting Fester. I've got this EGI Assault spell that is, let's see if I can click off here. EGI Assault is essentially, I believe, forcing my pet to attack. Yeah, so it forces the pet to attack, and then Ruin is kind of the filler, right? So Energy Drain has a 30-second cooldown, so I want to cast that whenever it's up. Fester has a 5-second cooldown, but I need dots on it, and it's a complete waste of time and energy, whatever, if I don't cast dots. So then, to add to that, Final Fantasy has this nice feature called Wait. So you can actually tell the game to wait 2.5 seconds between spell casts. And the result of that is that with one push of the button, I can do my casted dot, wait, and then immediately follow up with my second dot. And then, when I'm ready, I can just do my wombo combo and destroy it. Now, I am double the level of that mob, but that is a very high damage combination of spells. So let's go ahead and put it into action. Alright, so I've spent the last hour troubleshooting my mic, so hopefully it sounds a little bit better. We'll get into the actual instance run part of this. Like I said, I implemented those changes, and I did implement further changes, so you probably noticed the audio track changed quite a bit between the beginning of this video and now. I've sped up this video. It's running at 200%. Similar to the last dungeon, there's only one boss in this instance, kind of. So there's an end boss, same as the last place, but they have like little mini bosses. I guess that's pretty similar to how it was in the last dungeon, but it is slightly different. They actually feel kind of like mini bosses. I didn't slow those parts down either. It's pretty straightforward. You can see though, like, that the mob's HP just gets like absolutely chunked at times. So I'm gonna set up like dots here, and that happens. You see those all come on. I switch targets, and I'm gonna set up dots on this target, and then I'm just gonna wombo combo and like just absolutely destroy the mob, and then I just switch to the next. Now, one thing you'll notice is if you see my character start to run around in circles, that means my character's about to die. And one place I've really struggled with this is that it's a 3 DPS setup, at least until level 30, when this becomes the 2 separate jobs. I believe it's summoners and I can never remember the name of the healing job. So I'm expecting once I get a healer that this will be a little bit better. I really like the way White Mage has like been playing with my other job setup. So I'm hoping that I like the healing setup of what the Arcanist turns into just as much. But yeah, the whole purpose of this like beginning part is you basically go through this dungeon and you have to clear to these orbs. There's really nothing of note kind of through here, but you can see this purple part comes, and this is like a mini boss kind of. So this guy is gonna get blown up really quickly. You're just gonna watch. He just absolutely gets destroyed by the wombo combo. And then I kill these bats, which takes a little bit longer. And then I kill this guy. This guy is what would be probably closest to a boss. And of course, like, the wombo combo is not ready, so it's a little bit slower, but still pretty good, like, single target damage. And then the wombo combo should come up here in a couple seconds. Probably going to end up getting wasted. Because it happens every 30 seconds. Maybe not. Okay, so the wombo combo gets saved. I click the orb. That's 1 of 4 down. And then I'm basically just going to clear to the next one. Again, like really nothing super inspiring about this trash. It's pretty easy. Really the most difficult part is that I have to remember to heal my tank, which can be hard because it takes like 3 seconds to do dots on a target. And it takes a second or two to make sure that all my characters have acquired the same target. And in many cases they haven't. But one thing I noticed while I was doing this dungeon was that I needed to refine my settings a little bit, because if you press any buttons while your wait macro is working, right? So the macro casts miasma and then waits 2.5 seconds and then casts the instant cast dot bio. So miasma has a cast time, so that's why it's actually waiting the whole second, and the GCD is 2.5 seconds, so it does like the cast, and then I believe the wait actually rolls up to 3 seconds, so the game treats 2.5 like it would 3. You can see here I'm actually trying to do multiple dots, and it works out like super well. Like that one mob just like pretty much dies from dots, and then I go back and I wombo combo the rest. But yeah, one of the things I identified in this dungeon run is that those dots very often get, that macro very often gets interrupted. So here's the second guy. I think this might be the one where I lose my tank. I definitely don't have aggro on all the little bats, which is fine. This isn't the hard part of this. But yeah, this setup is certainly outside the norm. Definitely not something you would really want to do for very long. I just wanted to level up all 3 of these jobs at the same time with each other. The wombo doesn't appear to do that much damage there. Maybe my tank didn't die on this one. I definitely lose my tank a couple times in this dungeon, but this guy's pretty easy. He has like 1 conal attack. I forgot that I need to click on the orb, so I have to go back to do that. I'm pretty much still ignoring loot. I don't really care about loot at this point. I guess I care about loot a little bit more than I lead on. I don't know. There's really like nothing special about any of this trash. It's pretty boring at this point. This is basically like 2 daddy long leg spiders that attack you, and you can see I pretty much like just dot a target, switch to the next target, dot that target, and then DPS the second target, and then by the time that target is dead, I'm ready to basically dot up the other target, or the other target's about to die as well. That seemed to be like really balanced and worked well for me, but yeah, it works pretty well. I really wish this trash was a little bit more interesting, but I'm sure at a later level it will. Yeah, you can see here I dotted this first spider, and then I'm struggling to get the dots on the second target. That finally happens. I pop the wombo, and you can just see like the health just melts. Like the combo is just absolutely like so strong. I really hope that it continues on that way. I get to a part here where it's optional as to which direction I go. I'm probably going to go to the left if I were to guess. That mob actually does something. Still pretty easy to kill. And yeah, the swapping here is the hard part. And I really feel as though if the assist was a lot snappier, this would be like an even stronger comp. But since assist is not very snappy at all, yeah, so I go to the left here and there's the treasure. But since assist is not very strong at all, you can see I'm just absolutely struggling to put those dots up. So in the next video, I won't necessarily have the same intro where I go through and break down kind of what I'm doing. But what I ended up doing is I added a timer to the dot. So basically when I push the button, what it does is it invokes that macro timer. And it casts it, and then it prevents that character from doing any other actions for like 3 seconds so that I don't interrupt the dot timer. And then what I do too is I give myself a split second between when my characters were last casting things and when I decide to invoke the macro. That way everybody's kind of on the same page. Because it's not uncommon for characters to kind of get desynchronized when they're casting spells, right? You'll see like the 3 cast bars right now are all getting started at the same time for the dots, but the second I start casting Ruin and it starts taking into account like the priority list and casting other spells, that totally throws the cast bars off. But it's very important with like my setup that in order to get the dots exactly right, they have to start that cast at the exact same time. Otherwise, it gets out of sync, and I can't start that macro again on one character without starting it on all of them. And most of the time, I don't want to do that. You can see here I lose my tank. I just straight up didn't heal. The dungeon is still pretty easy. I think I end up losing like one other character. I actually end up switching to this character to res, and then I realized that there's still one alive. I put res on my bar, and then I'm like, oh shoot, this one's still alive. I have to actually kill this one. But this dungeon's so easy. I just have like 2 DPS characters. One's literally at like no health. That character dies, but at least he got his dots off. And I'm just sitting here free casting, and that character dies too. I collect this thing. This allows me to connect the orbs on the next one, and that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna res here, res my entire party, and then get ready to do the last boss. So yeah, everybody's resing up. So one interesting thing is that I get this little debuff a minute after a res that basically says you're 25% weaker. And I really considered not pulling this trash until that was gone. So this trash actually, right, it's a little bit bigger because there's 2 orbs here, but it really just means there's 2 times the amount of bats. I don't lose my tank there. It's pretty close. Somehow I survive it. I think it's because I'm actively thinking about it. But once these die, the next guy is going to spawn, the little quote-unquote mini-boss. And I think I actually lose my tank here. I don't know what I was doing, if I just got so wrapped up in casting dots that I don't even, like, think about the fact that my tank is taking damage. But, yeah, my tank starts taking damage. I move out of that little cone that they do. And, I mean, the damage is so high. The guy doesn't really do that much damage outside of his cone that I'm not really too worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and move again. And just free cast. And yeah, he's going to die. I don't think I didn't lose any other characters in that, so that's kind of a miracle. I wish the arcanist pet actually did some tanking, but it's probably fine that he doesn't. So yeah, click on these orbs. That starts the event. This is similar to King's Arrest. We'll slow it down because this is the final boss. And this guy is pretty easy. One thing you'll notice is that the boss fights do take a while in this game though. Like this group does really good DPS. I mean, you can see like the boss health just gets like absolutely chunked. And you can't see how much like raw HP this guy has, but I have to believe that he has a lot. And then he goes immune for a time and he spawns these little guys in the corner that you have to kill. And as I said before, the thing, like, this team does really well single target. This team does not do well with hard swaps at all. Or AoE of most sorts. Now, I don't know why I swapped back to this guy. I think I just assumed that the thing was going to die to the dots and that I should just get on the boss and start casting dots again. So that's exactly what I did. You can see here, though, that I didn't actually get all the dots on there, and I decided to just forge ahead without them. I don't really know why I made that decision, but I did eventually go back and recast the dots. Now this guy spawns 2 of these little guys. Nope, never mind. He spawns 1, and then there's a couple others. So my strategy here is to basically kill these little guys, or kill this little guy, the one that makes him immune. Ignore the ads, but AoE on my tank lightly. Try not to let my tank die here, even though I definitely almost did. So that thing got womboed. And then I'm switching back to the boss, and I'm just going to ignore the little ads, because I know that more are going to spawn eventually, and I'm more concerned with making sure that my tank doesn't die, and I know that I should just play to my strengths of DPSing the boss, And they don't, the little ads have like just enough health that I know that over time my tank will probably AoE them down, which is kind of what's happened here. However, you can see, so one just died, one little ad just died, and now we've got 2 of these guys spawning. So I need to kill 2 of these, and this is the point where I'm like freaking out a little bit. I'm popping cooldowns. I'm running my tank around in a circle to see if I can avoid as much damage as I can. That mob dies. I then realize that my DPS is getting hit a little bit, so I go in there, I AoE these down, try to get aggro. I swap my DPS back to this, so I'm not using auto assist. And so what I think happened is I didn't actually assist my casters. I just kept casting on that mob from my casters while I gathered everything else up on my tank. I redot the boss. I start, doing my single target DPS combo. You can see that's pretty effective. The damage I'm taking at this point isn't that crazy. I'm getting the mobs extremely low with the tank AoE, and Squidman does eventually go down. So it wasn't bad. It actually, I was a little shocked. I was like, you can definitely see that the running 3 DPS starts becoming a little problematic here.